History is being rewritten as we speak, and the foundations of quote-unquote accepted science are being shook right to their core, and nobody is hearing about it. They are keeping this story buried. Scientists in Chile, in Brazil, and Argentina are realizing something, what we have thought for so long about the nature of our existence isn't true. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are wondering what this little guy on your screen has to do with any of this. Well, this little guy is an animal that's only found in Chile and Argentina. They refer to them as monito del monte. Literally means mountain monkey. Well, it's not really a monkey and it's not really a mouse. It's a marsupial. It's a cousin of the opossum, a very small one that lives down there. And they have discovered that this guy traces his ancestors to Antarctica. I'm sure also many of you are wondering, what does this have to do with dragons, though? That was in the title. Chile, 14 September 2021. Fossil of dragon, millions of years old, discovered for the first time in Chile. Now, they snuck this out right around the whole September 11th thing so that nobody would pay attention. Now, in this particular article, and I'll give you the links to all of this from PennLive.com, they don't talk about the origins of this fossil. Prehistoric winged lizard unearthed in Chile, of course, with all the great pictures, and of course, on that specific date. But when you go and look and you do the deep dive, you find out something that will stun you. You're going to have to sit down when I read this. Brazilian police discover well-preserved prehistoric fossil during raid. Police in Brazil were conducting a raid when they discovered one of the most well-known fossil specimens ever found. The raid, which was part of an investigation into the illegal fossil trade, allowed for authorities to recover thousands of fossils, but that of a prehistoric being known as Tupandactylus navigans has garnered specific worldwide attention. And I guarantee nobody in my audience has heard of this. When you scroll down, here's the story they don't want you to hear. In this particular case, officers managed to confiscate a number of limestone slabs hidden in barrels, one of which contained an almost perfect skeleton of the Tupandactylus navigans, or as it's known, a pterosaur. Now, full disclosure, pterosaur, giant flying winged lizard with giant teeth that could very easily be mistaken for a dragon. But that's not the crazy part. The recently published study observing the fossil explains how pterosaurs lived during the Earth's early Cretaceous period and are a type of reptile that could also, interestingly enough, fly. The study, conducted by paleontologists at the University of Sao Paulo, Brazil, even managed to unveil never-before-seen information with regards to the ancient creature just based upon the fossil's sheer preservation. Here's where you have to sit down. There was even some soft tissue still on its bones. There was even some soft tissue still on its bones. Now, what is the story that we have been told about fossils? That everything of the original animal was gone, and the only thing that was left was deposits in the rock, in the shape of the animal. Much like in Pompeii, when the volcano exploded, came down, and all the people were incinerated, but the shape of the people was left in the lava. But that's not what this is. Soft tissue. Soft tissue still on the bones. How could it be 10 million 80 million, 600 million, 15 quadrillion years old. History is being rewritten. And actual science is being done in South America. And you're not hearing a word about it. I'd like to show you a map that I used many years ago when we were talking about this issue with, I shouldn't say many, 2 years ago, in Antarctica. There's an image that is very, very telling. This was a map created in the mid-1500s. I believe the cartographer's name is Guillaume de Testu. And it was around 1550. This is a map of Brazil. And what's related here in the imagery is giants using bows and arrows, buildings that are European in nature. There's even cannibalism. There's animals that we haven't seen before, but way up here in the upper left is an image of a giant with a shield being chased by a large winged dragon. Now, it seems very specific that this would be the case in Brazil. We've talked at length about how the tip of South America was likely at one time connected through a land bridge to Antarctica. Well, guess what? They've just admitted this. In fact, they have admitted this 8 years ago, but you've never heard it. It's only the crazy, weird guy on YouTube, Florida Maquis, the crazy Antarctica guy, who's told you this. Fossils in South Chile reveal close interaction with once connected Antarctica. Now, you ready for this? The discovery of leaf and dinosaur fossils in South America has revealed the continent was connected to Antarctica 20 million years more recently than previously believed. This has been happening over and over again. That all of these predictions and established science that says it was hundreds of millions of years ago, they're all getting revised closer to the modern era. They're finding artifacts of animals that supposedly died out millions and millions, tens of millions of years ago with soft tissue on them. Antarctica was not the home of snow and ice, which it is today, even though it was literally at the same point on the planet. It was a fertile landmass which allowed the terrestrial migration of dinosaurs and plants to today's continents. It gives you shivers down your spine and a real feeling of happiness to come across something so old. Well, they're learning it's not so old. We knew that South America and Antarctica were once connected in the past. What we didn't know was at what point in time and in what way. It was known that they were connected in the Turonian era. Now we know that also at the end of the dinosaur era, there was another connection of land, and this connection could help solve many of today's related mysteries. Now, here's where this little guy comes into play, the Monito del Monte. This connection could explain many things that today remain unknown. For example, marsupials, known as Monitos del Monte, the little mountain monkey, live in the forests of southern Chile, as well as other animals we know and understand to be typically South American, in reality would have their genesis in Antarctica. Let me read this again. This connection, this land connection between South America and Antarctica, could explain many things that today remain unknown. For example, marsupials, known as Monitos del Monte, live in the forests of southern Chile, as well as other animals we know and understand to be typically South American. In reality, would have their genesis in Antarctica. Another example, along with the dinosaur bones, 34 different leaves identified as Nothofagus, a family of tree from which 10 species can be found In modern-day Chile, textbooks in Chile say that this type of tree is no more than 50 million years old. However, the fossils found by these researchers were between 66 and 68 million years old. Given the seed's intolerance to salt, this is strong proof of propagation via land between Antarctica and Patagonia. Land between Antarctica and Patagonia. There were theories about such land bridges between South America and Antarctica, but nothing provided concrete proof until these fossils were discovered. So, this having been said and admitted, when I show images like this of what look like the skulls laying on the ice because of the melt in Antarctica, does this make more sense? You can even see the outlines of the teeth. And I'll give you these locations as well as well as the links to the articles that I was using. Not very far from that, right over here, one of the satellites inadvertently captured what looks like a living pterosaur in mid-flight. Right wing, left wing, long neck, head, talons below. Right here. Covered this over 2 years ago. 320 videos, all on Antarctica with all these finds. Roundly laughed at, roundly criticized and ridiculed for doing this as some crazy guy. But now scientists and researchers and paleontologists and archaeologists in Chile and Argentina and Brazil are confirming that there are fossils with flesh still on the bone. How can that be? How can that be? And one find that nobody could debunk. It takes a little bit of looking here, but you've got to get this just right. Let's see if they got rid of it. Here it is. Speaking of monkeys, can somebody explain this image? Can somebody explain the outline of the face here? Ear, eye, nose, upper jaw, lower jaw, even shading around the eyes, chin, jawline. I mean, everything's perfect. This isn't pareidolia. This isn't looking in the clouds. This is the reality. I've said it before and I'll say it again. What's going to be discovered in Antarctica in the next 50 to 100 years is going to change everything. It's going to rewrite history, and there's going to be a great awakening about the nature of who we are, our existence, and where we came from. And I will leave it there. Once again, God bless, like, share, subscribe, and we will see you guys tonight on Twitch.